I love listening to him call games on Turner, certainly here locally for the Los Angeles Clippers. And with James Harden coming our way, why not have Jim Jackson back on the program? How are you doing, Jim? You good?
I'm good, Rich Raheem. Rich, what you gonna be
Radio
Richiem. Radio Richiem. But here's the thing. You got the beatbox. You got the boom box.
Oh yeah, at home. Yeah, I got that at home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I like going to pizza places too. But that's about it.
Yeah. Okay,
that's about it.
Make sure you get extra mozzarella on
that. now you know you got to go. You got to go to the hood to do that, right?
Oh,
can't
of course.
Be out here.
Oh,
all
yeah.
right, just checking.
Oh, I understand, Jim. I'm ready. I have a Marconi now, so I'm standing straight. You know what I mean? I'll bring my Marconi with me wherever I go. So. Good to see you, Jim. Okay. What's your first blush thoughts on Harden being acquired by the Clippers and what it means here? What do you think?
Not surprised just because of, Rich, you've been around this enough to know that when a lot of noise is happening around a potential trade or a move or a free agent move or whatever it may be, sometimes it doesn't facilitate. But I thought that these conversations that it wasn't a lot of intrigue from a bunch of teams, and I understood kind of where it's twofold because of where the Clippers were currently sitting with their roster construction and where they needed to go to thin out their forward position a little bit more because they were really deep at the forward position. Through a trade, it would be one way to thin that out so the players that were in that position would understand exactly how much time they were playing, who they were playing, and things like that. So am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised. And also the timing, because Philly had to get this done. They wanted to get this out of the way so they could, at the beginning of the season, figure out who they're going to be as a team and be settled. And it's the same way for the Clippers, because if you get a James Harden right now you're able to integrate him at the beginning of the season, get him in, and allow him to work into the culture, the system, to help benefit for later on when you're talking about making the playoff.
So how does it work on the court? What do you think Ty Lue's going to do here with all these stars and sharing a basketball?
Well, and that's the beauty. But that's the beauty about Ty Lue. It's not just Ty, but it's the players' acceptance. The funny part is people want to win a championship. We always want to win a championship. Guys will say that all the time. But then it's a contingent upon, well, I want to win it this way. How does it help me? And I think if everybody's on the same page in regards to working together, that this could be something. If James has the mindset that he did when he went to Brooklyn, where he was a facilitator, that he understood that Kyrie and KD would be the main scoring options, and then when they weren't on the court, he could be that second scoring option. If he has that mindset coming in, I think that he'll be able to integrate himself into what the Clippers want to do rather seamlessly, because you have two willing participants in Paul George and also Kawhi Leonard, who are on the same path of ultimately winning a championship or getting to a championship. So a lot depends on one. I trust Ty Lue and the coaching staff in regards to game planning like that. But more importantly, what you have to trust is those 12 to 15 individuals that accept what's going on and kind of integrate James himself that way too.
Can you help me about who James Harden is? Because he doesn't come on shows like these. He just doesn't really make himself available very often outside of what obligations are. Because this is the latest example of him not being happy in a spot that he, forced his way to. I mean, it's just the number of times that he has gotten his way by getting his way out of places that he wanted to get his way to originally. I've kind of lost track. Can you help me about who he is, Jim?
That's a difficult question, because James has never been one to kind of share his insights personally in a meaningful manner. Because what I'm saying is this, is that we know who LeBron is because we've been able to interview, he's been able to talk through things, even when he went from Cleveland to Miami back to Cleveland to the Lakers. He kind of shared the insight, and we knew and understood who LeBron was. Steph Curry's the same way. Giannis is the same way. James has never been that person who's gone deep into why the reason he thinks that he does. He'll give us surface answers, so to speak, and then it's left up to us to interpret what that means by his action. And what I try to stray from a lot of times, Rich, is trying to figure out the intent of an individual player, because I don't know the intent unless they allow that to be described by what they say. We can only read the tea leaves and what's happened in the past and kind of follow that pattern and develop some sense of, okay, this is who James Harden is. And we may be 100% right. We may be 100% wrong. We may be 50% right. We don't know. And that's the challenge here when you try to evaluate a player like James Harden that really hasn't shared his full insights onto how he thinks, why he thinks, and what pushes him to a situation where he thinks may be comfortable. But then, now, was Brooklyn totally his doing? I'm not going to say it was.
Right.
How he handled it, maybe, but the situation dictated that he wanted something else, whether we like it or not. In that situation. Now, the Philly thing is totally different with him and Morey. That whole thing one day will come out to light exactly what the promises were made. But it's tough to judge someone's intent when they're not fully open with you.
Right, and I just want to be fair here, because just to mix sports here, Jim Jackson here on the Rich Eisen Show. You know, I was talking about Devontae Adams before, and how Adams goes from Green Bay to Vegas. He kind of wanted out of Green Bay, and he was accommodated in a way that's rare for an NFL player, but very commonplace for an NBA player of a certain stature. Again, Harden being the example. And how now he's in a new spot and things have changed to the point where I wouldn't blame him for wanting to get out. And that may be the case for Harden as well, but it's happened over and over and over again, which is why I ask you about who is he? And so my question is, like, why wouldn't this happen with the Clippers eventually, right? Like, why won't Ballmer and this front office be in the same position that Philly found itself in, and Houston found itself in, and Oklahoma City found itself in? Like, why not? You know, that's the question I've got.
If I'm not mistaken, I think his contract is up after this year. So from a leverage perspective, he doesn't have the same kind of leverage because if you think about the Clippers roster right now and contractually where they're at, Kawhi and Paul signed their extensions, I think 2019, so they're up. Russ is on a one-year deal. You have Harden coming in now looking to be re-signed. So you don't have the same kind of leverage and pull you do if you're in a multi-year contract, which he was in before, okay? So you got to look at things a little bit different. This will give the Clippers time to evaluate not just James, but their entire roster on where they go, because this is a critical transition stage for the Clippers, because being relevant means you have to win. Winning means you're going into a new arena, a new climate, a new atmosphere in 2024-25, and you want to have momentum when you come in. Steve Ballmer is all about spending the money, as we see, ensuring that the players have the best facilities, practice, training, whatever it is, to win. Now it's upon the players, incumbent upon the players to do their part. Now, does that necessarily mean that you're going to win a championship? No. We've seen it in the past. It's too many variables that happen within the course of the year that could sidetrack you, whether that's injuries or unhappiness, whatever it is, even though the roster says that you should be in the championship. But the evaluation process, I think, is going to be very critical this year for the Clippers and what they do in the future, who they retain, who they bring back, how they build out that franchise. So I think this is a different scenario in regards to the evaluation process from the Clippers' perspective, but more importantly from James Harden's perspective. Because when you're not guaranteed next year, it's a little bit differently on how you evaluate your current situation and how you respond.
Interesting answer there. That's Jim Jackson. Couple minutes left with the Clippers analyst on Bally Sports West, as well as so many other different outlets, NBA on TNT. I enjoy his work right here on the Rich Eisen Show. So where does this place the Clippers in the West now? I mean, flat out in the mix. The Nuggets look like, world beaters again. I know it's just 1 week in, Jim, but they look all the part of a dominant defending champ. And obviously the Suns are the Suns, and De'Aaron Fox already has gotten a little bit nicked up, but I can go on and on. You know how deep it is. Where do you think the Clippers stand, Jim?
Well, the Clippers are right there with their roster construction anyway, even though they weren't picked, in the top 3 in the West to do it. If healthy, a Western Conference contending championship team. They're a finals contending team, if healthy. And maybe it's great that they did fall under the radar this year. Think about for the last 3 or 4 years, they've been picked in the top 4, top 5 in the West to win a championship to get there. I know some pundits have them on the outside looking in, but maybe this is what they needed. And based on the roster, they're just as good as a Denver, as a Sacramento, as a Lakers with their core construction. And I think if you couple that with the coaching staff, they're right there. Now, Denver is an anomaly because their best player, Rich, the best part about Nikola Jokic is that he's low maintenance. Mm-hmm. Their team is low maintenance. Jamal Murray is low maintenance. Their starting 5 has continuity. If you look at Sacramento, the best thing that happened with Sacramento last year, 8 of their rotational players played over 70-plus games. Now, can that happen this year in regards to injuries? We don't know. The Lakers are still trying to figure out their rotation. So the early process says to me that if this Clipper team defensively continues to focus on that end of it, okay, they limit their turnovers, they stay relatively healthy. And if Kawhi and Paul can play 55 games together, this is going to be a team that you have to contend with late in the season. Again, you can't control the outside forces of what happens, but inside that locker room, if you look at the roster construction and the team and how it's built, Mason Plumlee is a backup center. Ivica Zubac inside as a rim protector. The Terrence Mann on the defensive end. They have all the components to make it. Again, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I do believe they're right there at the top-tier teams in the West.
Before I let you go, Jim, family was watching Clippers and Spurs the other night with you on the call. What was it like to eyeball Wembanyama in person in a game? What was that like? Give me your impression.
It was great, man. It was, my impression was this is a mature young man at 19 years old that has a lot of weight of the world on his shoulders because the NBA has put everything behind him in regards to the next generation. And what I think helps me that I know that he'll be fine is that he's with the Spurs, and that being that his foundation will be laid and going to be solid. Pop will understand in the coaching staff and the organization of how to help this young man mature into the player that he ultimately wants to be. Won't be a lot of pressure. Pop will figure some things out. He's done it with Tim Duncan, okay, in the past. So he'll understand what those pressures are, but he'll understand how to alleviate a lot of that in order for this young man to grow and be the best that he can be. It's a lot of things that Wemby has to work on, but that's the beauty of being 19 years old. We're able to see the growth in him, okay? And having that solid foundation to me is the most important thing, Rich. And being in San Antonio probably is one of the best things that probably could happen to this young man in regards to not just for the current playing status, but where he'll be ultimately. That's probably one of the premier players, of course, in this league in the future.
One of my favorite moments that game was Russ trying to block his shot, getting up there to block his shot, and then gets called for the foul of connecting on his on the leg, right? Like he got upset about that, right? I saw that, and I'm like, on the scale of 1 to totally insane, where does Russell Westbrook land? Like, I mean, that's
all the way insane, all the way. Because Russ figured that, hey, so what? I can still jump and get this now.
Yeah.
My future is saying that when Wemby understands that, he throws that down.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's just
he kind of switched hands.
Like that.
Yeah, I know.
No, he's 7'4". That 7'4" is going up over the top. But that's the thing. But that's the beauty about Russ.
Right.
He doesn't feel like it's nothing in front of him that he can't accomplish to do. So he challenged it, almost got away with it.
Yes, he did. That was funny. I was laughing. I was laughing. That made me laugh. But also, like, man, he is nuts. He went up there, like, thinking, I'm going to do this. And that was fun. It was a fun broadcast. It was great watching, listening to you. And I appreciate here. Oh, and by the way, I don't know where you are, but 10.5 behind your right shoulder. If there's anything in 10.5, I'll take one of those, whatever it is. I don't even know what it is.
Wearing 10.5. I stopped wearing 10.5 in elementary school. You know what I'm saying?
All right, move on.
I don't care if boy size is over here. I got out that.
I'm sorry. I forgot I was interviewing a grown-ass man, Jim. I forgot. I'm sorry.
Grown. Hey, hold up. But listen, though, before you go, I heard you off air talking that Michigan-Ohio State stuff, too.
Okay.
And I just want to let you know.
Yes, sir.
You're feeling it right now the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into the Spygate and all the stuff. I'm not going to get into all that.
Spygate.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to get into stealing signs and doing shenanigans. I'm not doing that. I'm not even saying that even happened in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just talking about the news that was there.
Okay.
But this year up in Michigan,
yes,
it'll be a different story.
All right, Jim. Let's do this on the regular. I miss you, man. This is fun. Appreciate the time.
Come on, bro. Anytime.
I had no. By the way, me asking
size 14's back here.
I was about to say. You know what that was like? That was like me asking him for 10.5 shoes. Was like I'm Russ going up against Wembanyama, thinking I got it.
Exactly.
And then you just threw it down because you're a veteran.
Hold up. I got something for you.
What do you got?
My son, these are my sons right here.
It's Spider-Man. I'll take it. That's for me. Okay.
Fantastic.
I went at the king and I missed.
You missed.
Okay.
Spidey.
Thank you, Jim. Take care. It's Jim Jackson, everybody.
That was great.
Oh, man. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.